Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'm bringing you another buyer's guide, this time featuring the beautiful looking Aston Martin DBR9 GT1. What an absolute machine, I must say. Don't get this confused with the Group 3 car. Although this sits in Group 3 in Gran Turismo, it is a full-blown GT1 car from, sadly, a now defunct racing series, which isn't with us anymore, but produced some of the best looking GT cars ever to exist. This being one of them, featured very prominently in the series, and honestly for me, just the looks of it, the way the body kit sits on it, the big old wing on the back, even its standard livery just looks amazing and just screams that, you know, late GT1 era. Sadly, obviously it is not with us. GT3 is pretty much the main GT series now, obviously along with GT4, and you know, we don't kind of get these machines anymore. They do kind of look similar to, you know, machines that we do get in GT3, however, they're just not quite the same. So I didn't actually realise this car was in the game for such a long time. I actually thought this was the GT3 version that obviously takes part in the Group 3 races on a pretty much weekly basis. And yeah, it was when I made a money guide using this car that I was really alerted to it, and you know, I'd never really give it a second look. I don't really visit the Aston Martin, you know, brand central dealership very often. However, I used it in the money guide, and just the outright pace of this thing just blew my mind. It was absolutely incredible. So for, you know, the last week or so, I've been thinking, yeah, I must go make a buyer's guide on that car. So I did, and honestly, it was some of the most, I guess, on edge fun I've had with a Group 3 car in a long time. Obviously when I'm running these, well, it's in time trial where I run them, so when I'm running these laps, obviously balanced performance isn't a thing, so you get the car as it is meant to be, so it's not restricted or powered down or had any weight added. It's just the car fresh out the factory. Obviously I don't put upgrades or anything like that on them, you know, or any tuning. I just use them as they are, straight from buying, and honestly, it was such an, you know, an awesome lap. I mean, it was on edge. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this car will throw you into a barrier. You know, if you give it the chance, trust me, it won't think twice of kind of chucking, you know, the back end out, and it is really difficult to try and you know, get it back in shape. But honestly, it's part of the fun with cars like these. Sometimes the most fun cars in Gran Turismo 7 to me are not the ones that are really easy to, you know, jump in and drive. Stuff like, you know, you've got your main ones like the Group 4 GTR or the Subaru or the Toyota Hypercar, which, you know, when it came in its update was pretty much one of the most, you know, easy to drive cars for that kind of level. A lot of the LMP1 cars were kind of the same, but a little bit more, I guess, reactive to your input, where the hypercar was just like, it was, you know, push and go on rails the whole time. As much as I kind of love them cars, sometimes I just want a car to really want to defeat me. And yes, it took me a couple of times to get this, mostly because when I was trying to get the footage and get the lap in, there's a part towards the end of the Nordschleife where it really just chucks you over the edge and all four wheels lift off the ground for just a slight period. But when you hit that ground, this car just bottomed out and seemed to want to just throw itself in the barrier. I did kind of learn to sort of lift off the third time lucky, and obviously I managed to get the lap in. But yeah, definitely a more on edge lap, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, now I'm trying to kind of transfer the, I guess, skills I've got in GT7 over from controller onto wheel. Now I've kind of got my setup there, and it's definitely, I guess, a more realistic feeling experience, and especially when you're using cars like this, which are more than happy to just place you in the barrier. It definitely kind of sharpens up them skills, where when I'm making money guides and stuff, I'm pretty much always using more overpowered cars. Yes, this car is overpowered for making money, but when you use it with, you know, no specific tune or any ballast and such, and it's in its purest form, trust me, it is one hell of a drive. Another thing to note, like, a lot of people say, you know, they absolutely love the liveries I use on cars, and for me this is one of my personal favorites. I absolutely love the look of this livery, and eventually I will sort of start a series where I showcase my favorite liveries and kind of just, you know, give a bit of recognition to the creators and such, because a lot of liveries in the kind of style I really enjoy get overlooked massively. People will kind of go for official liveries, which, I mean, I'm guilty of. I will go and get the most official looking livery out there for like Group 3 and Group 4 cars, but sometimes it's just nice to have like a really kind of fantasy but close to reality livery, and this is definitely one of them. So I've touched on the handling, and it's kind of obvious that yes, this car is a little tricky to get used to, but once you do, you're going to be nailing those laps. So let's move on to top speed and acceleration. Well, it's pretty standard and in line with its class. However, it feels like it's just got a bit more go in it. Now, I don't know if this is because originally, like I've said, this is a GT1 car. So, you know, they did, I believe so, have a little bit more power than the current GT3s we've got. Obviously, they're a defunct class, sadly. But yeah, it just feels like it's got that little bit more about it. You know, it can hit those higher top speeds, it can accelerate out of a corner quicker. As long as you're, you know, careful with that accelerator, you know, you're going to go places quite quickly. So it's definitely no slouch in that area. Braking and going into a corner, very, very good. No complaints there. Obviously, you can, you know, adjust your brake bias and such, so you can get it more to your liking. But even when it's at its standard setting, which is 0, is absolutely, you know, perfect. You know, in my opinion, I had no issues getting the car slowed down to get into those corners. And now for my favourite part, sound design. I absolutely love the engine note of this car, so take a listen. Honestly, if I were you guys, I'd 100% recommend going and looking up this car on YouTube and look for some real footage of it. Honestly, it sounds absolutely amazing. Definitely no complaints in the sound department, even when it comes to GT7. Which, like I've said before, sometimes it's hit, sometimes it's miss. You know, and I think they've pretty much got this one in the bag. It sounds absolutely awesome, whether you're sort of watching it in replays or on board. This car really does give you, you know, a good tingling in the ears as such. So, last few corners, and we're coming up to complete our lap, and it's been a little bit hairy at times. A few moments where the back end wants to kick out, but we've managed to get through it and cross that line. No complaints for the lap. It felt great. Obviously, it was just that little section where it dips down, where I've had to sort of lift off a little bit, you know, to keep myself sane, really. Or else I could have kept making that mistake all day. I'm always trying to push these cars as hard as I can, but also get those clean laps in. Onboard footage, absolutely awesome onboard. It's kind of got that look from the era it's from. So this is a 2010 car, so it really does, you know, it doesn't look as modern as some of these GT3 cars. With obviously they've got the cameras in the mirrors and, you know, cameras in the center console. It looks quite, I guess, bulky and built up inside and not as stripped out as some race cars, but it still looks, you know, very, very good. Lots of switches, lots of dials to look at, and my absolute favorite thing, there is no paddle shift in this car. It's all on that sequential manual transmission, which personally for me, I think makes an absolutely great sound on the onboard footage, so I'll let you take a listen to it. From an onboard view, I think it definitely looks great. There's, you know, you can see quite clearly out of it. You know, there's nothing major blocking your view. That windscreen wiper can be a little distracting at times, but honestly, once you've done a few laps in the sort of onboard view of this car, trust me, you'll get used to it, no problem. So, good visibility inside, absolutely amazing looks outside, good sound inside, good sound outside. Like I said, there's no major downfall to using this car. You can grind money with it, you can have fun just putting laps in with it, and it's in a Group 3, which is one of the more popular groups in Gran Turismo. So, there's definitely a lot of money worth to get out of this car. It's definitely no slouch in where you can use it. So here are your individual sector times. So if you're interested in that, they're on the screen now. Feel free to take a look and kind of match your own sectors against mine. Overall, we did it in a 6 minutes, 39.5 dead. Definitely a competitive lap time. We haven't actually tested many Group 3 cars. However, I'm hoping to, maybe get through more of them and definitely do some buyer's guides on them. I feel like the only other ones that fall into that category are the classic GT500 cars, so we'll see where it matches up. Overall, it comes 16th place on our top 20 list, and there is some fast cars on there. Obviously, we've got Group 2s, VGT cars, and just before it, we've got the Aston Martin Vulcan, which led for a very, very long time, and then the other Group 3 cars, two of them being the classic GT500 cars and the Suzuki VGT Group 3. So, very competitive, and actually the fastest Group 3 car we've tested so far. So let's do an overview and a summary. So would I recommend buying this car? Well, yeah, 100%. Obviously the title will say it all. If I don't like a car, trust me, you will know about it, because there is a few cars in this game that I very, very much dislike, and I really don't understand why they're in this game. I will kind of touch on them, and I seem to get hate from all sides when I do them. So I'm kind of thinking, well, do I really want comments saying, oh, you're a this, that, and the other, just for not liking a car in a game, which seems a bit silly, But hey, that's just kind of being on the internet these days. So yeah, I honestly do recommend. Obviously, it's top tier Group 3 cars so far. Yes, there's not many, but it's definitely a unique car, especially with being a classic GT1 car. So yes, for me, it is 100% a must-buy vehicle. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Cheers, guys.